Let me ask you a question. What's the greatest musical instrument ever invented? Well, whatever you just thought of, you can forget it, because today we're talking about the noble slide whistle. Too long has this been considered an instrument of ridicule. Too long has it been considered unplayable. Which is why I've now invented the auto-tune slide whistle. It bears a strong resemblance to the original, but this piece of plywood is significant. A series of holes have been drilled in it, and into those holes tiny magnets have been glued. Another magnet has been fitted to the end of the plunger. It's still a slide whistle, but now it has a tendency to snap to the nearest note. I think there's promise in this. With a bit of practice, it could actually be playable. You still need to judge roughly where the note is, so it's not completely simple, but compared to an ordinary slide whistle, it's a breeze. Of course, I built this yesterday as a joke, and though it's not completely terrible, it was only supposed to be a lead-in to what this video is really about. That's right. It's time to show off yet another project I did years ago and never told anyone about. The MIDI slide whistle! Well, what were you expecting? Technically, it's not finished. The circuit board was supposed to be mounted on the back, and it was all meant to be a bit more together, but at this point I think it's unlikely I'm ever going to finish it. The scissor arrangement works to linearise the resolution. At the low end, the notes are further apart, and the leverage lets us move quickly between them, whereas at the top end, the notes are closer together, and we want finer control. These are pretty high quality servos I'm using here. They're not cheap, but your run-of-the-mill hobby servo simply doesn't have the positional accuracy and repeatability that we need to play notes in tune. Those with a keen ear may have noticed that it's not quite in tune. That's because the last time I calibrated it was a few years ago. The pitch depends on temperature, humidity and air pressure, so the calibration only really lasts as long as the weather doesn't change. If I'd calibrated it right before filming, it would have been spot on, but I'm lazy. This tube leading out of the frame ends up here. It's an electric fan pump, which is speed controlled. See, the pitch and tone depend not just on the plunger position, but also on the speed of the airflow. And especially for the lower notes, you have to blow much softer for it not to jump to a higher harmonic. And the long tube is just so that we can get the pump further away from the microphone. I was never that pleased with this arrangement. Ideally, the airflow should be driven by bellows on a crankshaft, like you'd find on a barrel organ or a player piano. Then we'd need some other way of regulating the airflow, so probably a butterfly valve, which may or may not mean we can get rid of this valve on the top. This is only here to make sure that we can start and stop the notes with clean articulation. And yes, it works in real time. I'll just give a quick overview of how it's calibrated. We start by picking a few positions and measuring what the ideal flow rate is in that position for a clean tone. Then we fit a curve to those measurements, and that gives us a link between position and flow rate. So now we only have one variable. The calibration script performs two sweeps, one going up and one going down, and in every possible position it performs a simple zero-crossing based pitch detection. At the end of it, we've got two curves, which look like this. The gap between the curves is the hysteresis, or backlash. There's very little mechanical backlash in this setup. The pivot points are made from dressmaker's pins through laser-cut holes, which give extremely good performance. Even if we did the servo feedback from a linear encoder on the plunger, it wouldn't help much because the silicon rubber plunger itself is the main cause of the hysteresis. Anyway, the next part of the calibration is to average the two curves and invert the table so that we get a mapping between MIDI note number and servo position. And here we can finally see the effect of the scissor mechanism on the linearity. It's almost a straight line, which is very pleasing. There are dozens of spreadsheets that I produced while building this, many of them analysing the errors under various conditions. Part of the complexity is that the hysteresis depends on how fast the plunger was moving, and with big jumps between notes it can overshoot and have to pull back. The Dynamixel servos do let you play with different coefficients for their control system, but in general I found it was best to just jump to the note as fast as possible. I only built one robot slide whistle. I wanted to build 4, but then I realised I could save a lot of time and money by multi-tracking. Still, I do kind of want to build another 3. It would be nice to have the result instantly, and to be able to play chords in real time, and maybe increase the range. If there's such a thing as a bass slide whistle, I want one. I already mentioned my desire for bellows, so with 4 slide whistles and bellows, there's only one thing left to add. Punched cards! Wouldn't that be perfect? It would bring everything full circle. Just imagine an army of robot slide whistles, driven by punched cards. Ugh. That's it, the video is over, there's nothing more to see. Just wanted to make a quick announcement that I have set up a Patreon page. I'm not expecting much, have no interest in making Patreon only content, but if you want to send me money, please do. The more money I have, the more time I can spend making stupid projects like this one. And hey, if enough people sign up, maybe I can go back to making more than one video per year. Anyway, that's it. Ciao.